19 here, Big 550 KTRS.
Given the current delegate selection process, that means that I'd vote for Marco Rubio in Florida, and for John Kasich in Ohio, and for Ted Cruz, or whichever one of the other two contenders has the best chance of beating Mr. Trump in a given state.
That's how it sounded yesterday on the Big 550 KTRS. Jim Ryan, ABC News correspondent, following this unbelievable story. Good morning, Jim Ryan.
That's a great way to put it, McGraw. Unbelievable. Who would have thought in our whole lives that there would be a campaign season like this one, that the personalities would be clashing the way that they are. Yes, Mitt Romney came out yesterday. He came out swinging, not only with his criticism of Donald Trump, calling him a fraud and a phony and not such a good businessman, but also, as you heard in that audio there, McGraw, offering the voters, Republican voters around the country, a formula for defeating Donald Trump at the polls during the primary season, which, of course, would mean that some voters are going to the polls, holding their noses and voting for people they really don't support just to prevent Donald Trump's getting the nomination. Yeah, fascinating 20 minutes or so yesterday, McGraw.
All right, Jim Ryan. So let's get to the backstory of all this. Was this Mitt Romney on his own going rogue? Was this the establishment pushing him out there? What are we hearing?
Well, he, of course, is saying today that this was something that he did out of outrage, that he had finally heard enough from Donald Trump, heard enough of the sexual innuendo and the braggadocio and the comments that he was making hourly, that he did this on his own, that he had the opportunity to give a speech at the University of Utah, and that he took them up on that offer, and this was the result. He hasn't, he says that he wasn't coaxed or prodded or influenced or encouraged by the Republican National Committee or anybody else to make this speech. But clearly, he's speaking for what most people consider to be the Republican establishment, McGraw.
He keeps denying that he is looking for a way to get back in, but many people think he doth protest too much.
I think you're right. Is he being truthful and earnest when he says, I don't plan to run. I'm not going to run. I'm not running now, and I'm not going to run. I wouldn't accept the nomination at the GOP convention. He has not said that, though. If delegates came his way, if suddenly he were thrown out there as the potential nominee at the convention in the summertime, would he take it? He doesn't go so far as to say that he wouldn't, but at least for right now, he says he's not running.
Yeah, and a lot of people need a history lesson here. It sort of hasn't happened in recent history, but in the past, candidates have got in all points of the year and have sort of missed the early primaries, but used the back end primaries to sort of start their campaign. So it is not unheard of for somebody to get in this late of a date.
No, right. You're exactly right. Just as candidates sort of suspend their campaigns or jump back in, and some people could come in later. But time's wasting, and we're already past Super Tuesday. So if somebody wants to do it, McGraw, if you're willing to, if you're putting your name out there for submission, I'd vote for you.
There you go. I got one vote. Good. I wouldn't vote for me, but there you go. Jim Ryan, ABC News correspondent. Thanks for checking in. 7:22 here, Big 550 KTRS. We also should say that